7 o'clock.
Good evening. I'd like to call the regular Town Council meeting of May 20th, 2024 to order, please. And next is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you can all stand if you're able. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilor Buganski?
Here.
Councilor Lewis? Councilor Balboni?
Present.
Councilor Carey?
Here.
Mayor Delnicki?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Siracusa?
Present.
Councilor King? Here. Councilor Fitzgerald?
Here.
Councilor Pendleton? Present. Okay.
Moving on, I have a few remarks to make before we recognize our public works staff. Tomorrow morning, May 21st, the South Windsor Chamber of Commerce is holding a free breakfast for the town's first responders from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. at Dunkin' Donuts at 855 Sullivan Avenue. Please stop by to say hello to our first responders if you are in the area. Secondly, I'd like to congratulate Councilor Balboni on behalf of the entire Town Council for being recognized by the Commission Banner Project. His banner will be erected Wednesday at 4:45 at the South Windsor Community Center along with 32 other banners. The banners will be hung both at the Community Center and here at Town Hall Library Complex. Councilor Balboni's banner will be hung here at Town Hall. Congratulations to him and all veterans being honored. And finally, a reminder that Monday, May 27th, South Windsor will host its Memorial Day Parade. The parade will commence at 10 a.m. along Nutmeg Road South, proceeding to Pleasant Valley Road, and culminating at Veterans Memorial Park. Following the parade, there will be a Memorial Day ceremony at 11 a.m. And now on to our Public Works Department. If Mr. Stetson and Mr. Roy can come forward, and Mr. Roy can present Mr. Stetson the Public Works Award for Outstanding Public Works Department.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is Tom Roy. He is one of our peers, the president of New England APWA.
Can you move the microphone?
And also the director of Public Works just on the other side of the river in Simsbury.
Well, thank you. It was a tough swim across the river. I never get over on this side, so I'm glad to be here in South Windsor tonight. One of the things that we wanted to do this week with Public Works Awareness Week is to recognize South Windsor's outstanding Public Works Department. When Public Works does their job well, nobody sees what they do because you didn't hit a pothole. There wasn't a guardrail out of place. Every stop sign was up. The room was set up the way you want it to be, and your engineering department put out a great set of plans. So we thought this was a great opportunity to recognize some of our peer agencies in the state. And this is the first year we've done this, and we're very proud that South Windsor, through all of their work in public outreach, in having programs that save money, always pushing the envelope and trying the next best thing, made them a great candidate to be the first recipient of the Public Works Department of the Year from the New England chapter of the American the American Public Works Association.
Present you with the Town of South Windsor proclamation for this award as well. Whereas the Town of South Windsor wishes to recognize the Department of Public Works, and whereas the Town of South Windsor is proud of their accomplishments and strides to make South Windsor a great place to live and work, and whereas the Public Works Department has been named the 2024 Outstanding Public Works Department of the Year by the New England chapter of the American Public Works Association. And whereas this is a highly sought-after award in the public works community throughout North America. And whereas the Town of South Windsor would like to commend the South Windsor Public Works Department on this very prestigious award. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Audrey Delnicki, Mayor of the Town of South Windsor, acting on behalf of the Town Council and the residents of South Windsor, do hereby recognize and honor the South Windsor Department of Public Works for their continued efforts to provide innovative and cost-effective services to the residents of South Windsor. Signed by myself, Mayor Audrey Delnicki, Deputy Mayor Matthew Siracusa, and Councilors Balboni, Buganski, Carey, Lewis, King, and Pendleton. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And I'd like to bring up to the podium State Representative Delnicki. He has a state citation for you as well.
Big night for Public Works here. That's one thing that we could always count on in the town of South Windsor, is that the roads were plowed, the people were doing the jobs that they needed to do, and the community was safe. It says so much about Public Works and just how important it is. So I have a State of Connecticut General Assembly official citation introduced by myself, Representative Khan, and Senator Anwar. And he extends his regrets on not being here. Be it hereby known to all that the Connecticut General Assembly hereby offers its sincerest congratulations to Vincent Stetson and the men and women of the South Windsor Public Works. In recognition of being named the 2024 Connecticut Outstanding Public Works Department of the Year, your unwavering devotion to innovation and cost-effective services to the residents of our community are nothing short of admirable. Your commitment to projects that improve the health and safety of our community in an efficient manner is honorable. And this is a well-deserved recognition of your dedication to the town of South Windsor. Congratulations once again on this significant honor. The entire membership extends its very best wishes on this memorable occasion and expresses for hope for continued success. And I guarantee you, knowing the men and women of Public Works, there will be success after success. And it's given today at the Capitol. It's signed by the President Pro Tem of the State Senate, Martin Looney, the Speaker of the House, Matt Ritter, and the Secretary of the State of Connecticut, Stephanie Thomas. Congratulations to you and all of your staff that make things happen and get things done.
Thank you so much.
And now you'll present your 2 awards.
Yes, if I can just really quickly thank Senator Delnicki, Madam Mayor Delnicki, Tom Roy with the New England APWA. It's very humbling to be recognized like this, and it goes without saying, I am just the lucky individual that gets to accept these rewards on behalf of the staff of the Public Works Department here in South Windsor. It can't be done without all of us working in lockstep, and it's very humbling, and thank you guys for recognizing us. This week, we also have our own internal awards, and in the spirit of brevity, I'm going to call up all the award winners now. We will do a photos and presentation out in the atrium, but I would like to call up Neil Roback. He is the award winner for the Rich Roback Public Works Award this year. Neil is one of the associate managers, and he makes all of our lives much, much easier and smoother without us ever realizing it, because of his proactiveness and his willingness to take on the difficult tasks. We have Gary Shack in the in the audience. And this is just a quick little story, a testament to what Public Works is all about. These South Windsor-shaped placards are made of walnut. They're hand-cut, all beveled. Gary does this under the cover of dark without anybody asking him, just because he has such a passion for Public Works in South Windsor. And Gary does embody the spirit of what the Rich Boudreau Award is. And I'm sorry, Neil, I'm talking about Gary a little bit more here. We all kind of toe this line, and I'm really blessed to just have such excellent staff surrounding me. Jeff, would you like to introduce WMC, please?
So in addition to a staff member, we work with many consultants and contractors. So this year we'd like to recognize WMC Consulting Engineers who've been working with us for many years on all our projects. And here is Keegan Elder and Steve White and Bob Barnesci. Come on up, guys.
And then to finish the triad here, we also have our Citizens Award recognition. And this year we are recognizing Tim Shepard and the extended Shepard family. Tim, if you could come up, please. Tim and I have been working hand in hand for close to a decade now. And Tim, about annually will call me up with some sort of idea, some sort of connection that will benefit the town. For example, we have a bunch of brownstone from the state of Connecticut that he's storing on his property for us for a future project. Eversource came through and replaced all their poles, and they have these very large telephone poles. He said, let me hold on to these, you might need them someday. And that's what we have the Vivert Road parking lot all lined with. So again, thank you guys for recognizing us during National Public Works Week. You guys are all as much as part of the team, if not more than me, and really appreciate everything you guys bring to the team.
You guys want to go outside for pictures?
Thank you. Moving on to item number 5, Councilor Baganski.
I'd like to make a motion for the adoption of the agenda as presented.
Do I hear a second? Second. Any discussion, changes? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I'd like to make a friendly amendment to move executive session in between items 7 and 8.
That's item 17A.
Yes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the amended agenda?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Councilor Pendleton?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to move 14A before 12A. The tax stabilization fund before the, not before the public hearing, no, before the resolution setting the tax rate. But after the public hearing, of course.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion?
Yes. Oh, no, that we got to take a vote on that one.
That's why I said
Any further discussion on that one? Sorry.
Seeing none, all those in favor of moving 14,
Aye.
say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Now, motion to approve
No, I have more discussion.
more?
Yeah, one more.
Sorry,
Sorry.
Liz.
One more discussion. As everyone has seen, and this is all for transparency, and I'd like to make sure that this gets into the record also, is I sent off some questions because I was a little surprised to see on our agenda setting the tax rate resolution again, even though we voted on it at the last meeting. So I've sent some questions off to the town attorney to answer. In particular, my question was about seeing the resolution back on the agenda for the Tax Stabilization Fund, and the resolution, I would like to read this into the record and also have this email into the record, Kathy, and not just for my purposes or your purposes or the town's purposes, but there have been folks that have called me and asked me, why is this on here? And I want to get that explained, but I also, for future reference, when folks look back at the minutes, they'll see that the tax stabilization, or the budget vote resolution, the budget resolution would be on 2 agendas and without any explanation. So for transparency's sake, I had some questions. The resolution setting the tax, the town attorney answered this question, and I asked, why is the budget resolution back on the agenda? The resolution setting the tax rate is back on the agenda, not the budget adoptions. Both budget resolutions, Board of Ed and town, passed at the last meeting, but the resolution setting the mill rate got confused when Deputy Mayor Siracusa called the question. Calling the question, bless you, requires a 2/3 vote to pass and stop debate, and then the vote needs to occur. The call of the question voted passed 8-1, and it was not clear if that was intended to be the vote of the underlying resolution on setting the tax mill rate, or if it was simply on the call of the question. Regardless, the vote on setting the tax mill rate should be voted upon again to clear up any confusion. And I just want to make it clear that when someone calls the question, they should have the floor. And at the last meeting, I believe I had the floor. I was about to be recognized, or I was recognized by you, so someone needs to have the floor. They need to be recognized by the mayor before they can call the question. So that's the proper procedure for calling a question. And then a vote is taken on calling the question with a 2/3 vote. So because of that confusion, and not to make a big deal on anything, I just want it explained in the minutes of this meeting as to why that same resolution is showing up at 2 meetings, and that's for future perpetuity. Is there anything you'd like to add, Mr. Town Attorney? No? Explained it pretty well for folks to understand?
Because that was going to be brought up during when the agenda item came up, but thank you.
Well, I brought it up now for fear that my discussion would be cut off again by calling the question, and I wouldn't be able to explain these questions that I submitted, so that's why I'm doing it on adopting of the agenda.
Okay.
So, and I wanted to make it clear before I said yes to the agenda. That's all. Thank you.
Sounds good. All right, thank you. Any other discussion? Councilor Pendleton?
Oh, I'm sorry, no.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Siracusa.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like just for this to be in the record that I was identified by the mayor to speak when I called to the question. That's all I have.
Okay, motion to approve the agenda as amended. I know, it's just things going back and forth. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Okay. Item 6, Mr. Maniscalco.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In honor of Public Works Month that's coming up here, first of all, just for everybody to be aware, we have the Sidewalk Program Story Map. The Engineering and IT Department have created a story map to show the town's efforts in constructing and maintaining sidewalks throughout the town. This story map displays the town's progress throughout the years. The intent of this story map is to provide information on priority locations of pedestrian ways, as well as information the public, as well as to inform the public as to why we put a focus on complete streets and safe ways for all pedestrians. The sidewalk program can be found on the town's website by utilizing the search bar and searching sidewalk program, or visiting the engineering department page. And we've got the website there for those of you who have the electronic version. I would just follow that by adding our Public Works Department does a great job at providing a lot of electronic resources on their webpage and in a way that is publicly friendly and engaging. And I think we saw that through the Pavement for Progress program that's out there, and now this sidewalk story map that's out there. And I do recommend a lot of our residents take the time to really dig in there and take a look at it. It's interactive, it's very interesting, and it's got a lot of good information for everyone. Moving on my report, the Outdoor Fitness Center. The town has officially opened the Outdoor Fitness Center at Nevers Park. This project is a wonderful addition to South Windsor and will provide another opportunity for residents with their health and fitness. This project could not be possible without the guidance of the Parks and Rec Department, Max Challenge, and federal COVID funding. In terms of our volunteer breakfast, the Human Services Department hosted a volunteer recognition breakfast on April 30th. It is always amazing to see the countless individuals who volunteer and give to the town of South Windsor to make it a wonderful community. We're truly fortunate to have so many caring individuals. In terms of our splash pad update, we've received word from AquaTurf that all the parts have been painted and are ready to ship. We are hopeful they should arrive on May 22nd with the intention that the splash pad will be ready for the grand opening on Memorial Day. All the work that could be performed by the town is completed, including the shade structures, sidewalks, benches, painting, plantings, and fencing. And we have, after writing this report, received word from AquaTurf that they will be sending staff out here in the next day or so to be here on site for the installation. So hopefully things are moving in a good direction with that. And then lastly, the Connecticut Southern Rail replacement. As was discussed at the previous meeting, Connecticut Southern Rail is working on a rail replacement through South Windsor, moving from the south to the north. This action occurred on May 8th and went off without a hitch. So much so that we received 0 comments or concerns. And I'd like to recognize the countless staff who helped get the word out to our residents. And with that, I'd be happy to take any additional questions from the council.
Any questions for the town manager? Seeing none? You all set?
Yeah,
Councilor King?
thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to make sure, based off of the town manager's the comments in regards to where we can find it. So all somebody has to do, and I just wanted to confirm it, is just type it in the search engine. So that way they're not going, I don't even know the name of the department I'm supposed to be looking under. If they
Just
type
the engineering department.
sidewalk, but if they type sidewalk program in there, it does come
pops
up
right up.
in the search engine.
Correct.
Thank you. Moving on, seeing no more other questions, moving on to item 7, public input for items on the agenda. Public input shall not exceed 30 minutes. When recognized by the mayor, the speaker shall approach the lectern, give their name and address. Speakers shall avoid personal attacks or impugning or alleging an improper motive to any person. The speakers may address the council on any item on the agenda. The speakers shall limit their speaking time to 5 minutes. Is there anyone who'd like to come forward and for items on the agenda? Any items on the agenda? And if you can turn the microphone on and state your name and address and sign in.
Oh, all right. Hello. I'm Sydney Michaelak of 465 Niederwerfer Road. What do I need to do? Do I need to turn it?
Yeah, can you move it down farther towards you? That's okay.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
And more toward, there you go. That might be better.
Is that going to work?
Yeah.
Okay. Sydney Michaelak, 465 Niederwerfer Road, South Windsor. South Windsor, that's where I am. I'm here, actually, thank you for having me, Madam Mayor and council members. We're here to talk about the abatement for child care providers that the state recommends and has to go through each town to be passed. Thank you for putting it on the agenda. We had talked to the previous administration and they never got back to us when we contacted them about it. I believe it's passed in '22. And Deputy Mayor Siracusa contacted me immediately after my most recent email, which I appreciate. It's nice to be heard and recognized. I've been operating my licensed home daycare for 28 years, and I represent only 9 currently in South Windsor. When I started in 1996, there were over 20 of us. We have a smaller daycare. We can have 6 children full-time. We have a huge growing population in South Windsor, and people are desperate for childcare. They're desperate for choices in childcare. Typically, we are a more personal, smaller setting. Like I said, we have 6 kids, and we're definitely significantly less expensive than center care, especially now. If the abatement is approved, not only will we be helping the 9 small business women that are doing this currently, but it might also encourage other people to become licensed to do home daycare. There's quite a few people that are giving care and they're not licensed. So I would personally like to see those people go through the process of getting licensed so that there are minimal safety standards, the fingerprinting, the background checks, the initial inspections of our homes, and yearly spot inspections that happen. Those are things that keep children safe, in my opinion. We help our community find reliable, safe care, and it's an essential thing that we would like to see get bigger. And if you pass the abatement, not only will those of us who are doing it now maybe stay a little longer, but you might encourage others to become licensed child care providers. I think that's all I have to say.
And did you sign the form in front? Okay.
Yes.
Great, okay.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Soto. I'm at 4 Charter Road in Ellington, actually. I also do family daycare. I wanted to come out and just support Sydney and the other daycare providers that are in South Windsor and let you know that there are other towns in the state of Connecticut that have passed the abatement. Coventry did it immediately at 100% for the full 5 years, as per the statute. For me, in Ellington, they did it at 50% for 3 years. So just so you know, when you're considering, the other towns are adopting it, it is helping, and it would help in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come forward for items on the agenda? Anyone else like to come forward for any item on the agenda? Going once, twice, okay. Moving on to item 17A, Deputy Mayor Siracusa.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to invite Town Manager Michael Maniscalco and Vanessa Perry, Director of Human Resources, to discuss item 17A, strategy and negotiation regarding collective bargaining. Bullet point 1, UPSEU, Local 424, Unit 104, Public Safety Dispatchers, Community Service Officers, Support Services Technicians. Bullet point 2, South Windsor Police Union, NIP SEU. Bullet 3, Local 1303-028 of Council Number 4, AFSCME Public Works Union. And finally, Local 1303-488 of Council 4, AFCSME Library Union.
Thank you. Second, we have a second, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. We will go into executive session and we will resume the regular meeting at the end of the executive session. That's okay. Oh. Calling our regular meeting back to order, and now we're going to suspend the regular meeting for our public hearing. The public hearing is to receive citizen input on the Small Cities Grant for renovation and upgrades to Flax Hill. May our clerk read the public notice.
To be published in the Journal-Inquirer, April 26, 2024, and May 13, 2024. Town of South Windsor, notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given that the Town of South Windsor will conduct a public hearing by the Town Council on Monday, May 20th, 2024, at 8 p.m. in the council chambers of the South Windsor Town Hall, 1540 Sullivan Ave, South Windsor, Connecticut, to discuss a fiscal year 2024 Community Development Block Grant Program to solicit citizen input. Maximum award limits, up to $2 million for public housing modernization with a priority to state-sponsored housing portfolio, SSHP, up to $1 million for infrastructure associated with the development of affordable housing, streets, sidewalks, sewer lines, and windmills. Major activity categories are acquisition, housing rehabilitation, public housing modernization, community facilities, public services, and economic development. Projects funded with CDBG allocations must carry out at least one of 3 national objectives: benefit to low and moderate income persons, elimination of slums and blight, or meeting urgent community development needs. The purpose of the public hearing is to obtain citizens' views on the town's community development and housing needs and review and discuss specific project activities in the areas of housing, economic development, or community facilities, which could be part of the town's new application for funding for the year 2024. Also, the public hearing will give citizens an opportunity to make their comments known on the program and for approval of the program income reuse plan, if applicable. If you are unable to attend the public hearing, you may direct written comments to the Town of South Windsor, 1540 Sullivan Ave, South Windsor, Connecticut, 06074, or may email towncouncil@southwindsor-ct.gov. In addition, information may be obtained at the above address between the hours of 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. on Mondays, Tuesday through Thursday from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. The Town of South Windsor anticipates applying for the maximum grant amount of $2 million under the Public Housing Modernization. The Town of South Windsor promotes fair housing and makes all programs available to low and moderate income households regardless of race, creed, color, national origin, ancestry, sex, gender identity, or expression, marital status, age, lawful source of income, familial status, learning disability, or physical, mental disability, or sexual orientation. All are encouraged to attend. The public hearing is accessible to the handicapped. Any disabled persons requiring special assistance or non-English speaking persons should contact Vanessa Perry, ADA Coordinator, at 860-644-2511, extension 2280, at least 5 days prior to the hearing. The Town of South Windsor is an equal opportunity affirmative action employer.
Thank you. That was a long one. Is there anyone from the public? We should have Mr. Peter Testa from the Town Small Cities Consultant. Is he here tonight?
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Peter Testa from A&E Services Group. I was hired by the town of South Windsor to prepare the application which you just heard about. And as mentioned, the purpose of this evening's public hearing is to gather comments or hear comments from the public on the town's community development needs. The town intends at this point to submit an application to the Department of Housing for an amount of $2 million for Flax Hill renovations. The improvements will include new generators to power all buildings and the community building, as well as a closed-circuit television and security system. The applications were due May 31st, but this evening I just received an email from the Department of Housing saying that they're extending the the application to June 19th. So we've got a little bit more breathing room. And I've been working with Patricia Perry, the town manager. Good to meet you, sir. In preparing this application has been quite an effort. As I say, the applications are due. I still plan on putting it in on May 31st if everything comes together. It's for $2 million, and as I said, for the renovations at Flax Hill. This application will meet the national objective of benefiting low and moderate income individuals, as all residents at Flax Hill have gross incomes that are less than 80% of the median income based on their family size. The application will not generate program income. Program income is funds that come back to the town of South Windsor through these loans. Typically, it's done by means of what's called housing rehabilitation programs, where individual homeowners fall within certain income limits, and the town lends them monies to do new roof siding, doors, windows, whatever. A mortgage is held on the property, and when that property is transferred, either by demise or sale or transfer of title, then the funds come back to the town. And just speaking with Patty, she said that the town did have a 2018 housing rehab program, but there have been no repayments to date. This application will not generate program income, as I said, because the funding that is provided to the housing authority is as an outright grant. So the funding comes to the town from the Department of Housing, and then the housing authority is a subrecipient of those funding. So, questions?
Councilor King?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Is that the highest amount that we can go for with that grant?
Yes, sir. Yeah, $2 million is the max for housing for public housing modernization. At this point, there's about $11.4 million available. The funding originates from the HUD, and then comes down to the Department of Housing, and then DOH doles it out.
Madam Mayor, if I could, who is that through? It's Brandon McGee?
I'm sorry, sir?
Who does that go to? Brandon McGee? Is that that's through the state or no?
Through the Department of Housing?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Feds.
My apologies.
Yep.
Deputy Mayor Siracusa?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Do you mind just repeating what that grant would go towards? I got a couple other points. Do you mind just
Certainly.
repeating?
The proposed renovations are emergency generators that will power all buildings, as well as the community building, and a security camera system, closed circuit television security system.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Pendleton?
How long does it, thank you for being here, by the way, and filling us with all this information. How long does it normally take for that application to be approved? Like, when will you hear an answer?
I wouldn't even venture a guess, miss. I mean, reason being is just based on history. Last year, applications were due in May. The governor did not announce until December.
Okay.
The awardees still have not received state contracts, so we're pushing a year since the application was submitted. Even though the towns were notified of the award, the state has not been, hasn't had the opportunity to generate the contracts and the agreements.
Well, thank you for what you do, filling out this application, and do us a favor, when we get awarded, come back and tell us, okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I think that's it.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come forward to speak on this, during this public hearing for the Small Cities Grants? Anyone else like to come forward? Okay, I have one email that was requested to be read into the record from Daria Plummer from Orchard Hill Drive. I will not be able to be present tonight, and I wish to have my comments read into the minutes in support of South Windsor's application for the $2 million grant for upgrades to senior housing complex at Flax Hill. Flax Hill has long been home to many seniors over years, many years, and as with any housing, upgrades and improvements must be made. Dignity and quality are only fair in housing, no matter where one lives. South Windsor proudly has had, for some time now, public housing. Unfortunately, it is dependent upon public monies for improvement. Application for such a grant is clearly and absolutely a no-brainer. I am in complete support, total support for this for our application for such funds. Thank you. Thank you. And another one to be read is from Angela Case. She's a lifelong resident and a senior citizen. My family has lived in South Windsor for over 4 generations. I have managed housing for seniors and disabled, working directly with HUD and CHFA for for approximately 35 years. I have administered several block grants on properties throughout Connecticut. My experience for the past 10 years is how to maneuver through life as a blind person. Having low vision doesn't mean you must sit in a rocker and not move. We can live a full life with just a little help. May I suggest considering adding adaptations to units that will allow visually impaired to continue to live independently. Adding computer programs to an iPhone can actually tell a resident who is at the door, are lights on or off, change the temperature in the living unit, and provides additional security for residents' safety. There is no housing in Connecticut designed for the safety and help improve the living conditions for the visually impaired. I believe South Windsor could and should be a leader, an example for other towns to follow. Take a look for yourself and just Google smart home. Thank you so much for your time, Angela Case. Any other comments? Seeing none, at this time, I'm going to close the public hearing and we'll do a straw poll. The straw poll is not scientific, but if you can raise your hands for any who are in favor of this grant, please raise your hand and keep them up so we can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. What do you got? Okay, and not in favor? Seeing none? Okay. Thank you, and we will now resume the regular meeting. Well, regular meeting, and then I'm going to say, now we'll go back to executive session until our next public hearing, which is at 8:30. Good evening. Call the regular town council meeting back to order, and I'm going to suspend the regular town council meeting for a public hearing to receive citizen input on amendments to ordinance number 222, Tax Stabilization Fund Program. Ms. Senerth, if you can please read the public notice.
To be published in the Journal-Inquirer, May 10th, legal ad, Town of South Windsor. Notice is hereby given that the South Windsor Town Council has set Monday, May 20th, 2024, at 8:30 p.m. in the council chambers of the South Windsor Town Hall, 1540 Sullivan Ave, South Windsor, Connecticut, as the time and place for a public hearing to receive citizen input on amendments to Ordinance 222 Tax Stabilization Fund Program, dated at South Windsor, Connecticut, the 6th day of May 2024, attested to by Catherine Senerth, Executive Assistant.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to the council during this public hearing regarding the amendments to the ordinance number 222? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to the council during this public hearing? Please come forward.
I've already signed this sheet here.
Oh, you already did? Okay. And if you can identify yourself, please.
My name is Ray Paulin, and I live at 25 Mohegan Trail in South Windsor. I'm here to speak to the Tax Stabilization Fund Ordinance and the related last Town Council meeting's Board of Education budget approval. On the ordinance, I'm speaking out of school, so the town attorney is welcome to correct me after I speak. It appears that this ordinance passed by our town council 6 years ago was meant to satisfy a state requirement to establish a savings fund, kind of rainy day fund. The ordinance was to include maximum fund balance amount and an annual maximum yearly withdrawal amount, both set by the South Windsor Town Council. That six years ago, Town Council set maximums of $3 million for the balance and $500,000 for the annual withdrawal, tying the Town Council's hands when it wished to move more than those amounts in and out of its tax stabilization fund. Now the Town Council needs to put $2.5 million into the tax stabilizer fund and then move it out into the general fund to have zero increased general government budget for 2024-2025. So it wants to increase the maximum amounts. This makes the maximum amounts appear irrelevant if we are going to be increasing them whenever we have the need to move a surplus into the general fund. So why hamstring ourselves as that 6 years ago Town Council did? This resulted in a stumbling Town Council budget approval meeting 2 weeks ago, where more time was spent on procedure than on substance. The meeting was reminiscent of a classic 1940s Abbott and Costello comedy routine, come to be called Who's on First. Even in that routine, Bud Abbott was able to convince his sidekick, Lou Costello, that I don't know was on third base. At that last Town Council meeting, I don't know probably would have been a more appropriate response than the bevy of confusing string of numbers that were thrown out. 1%, no, 3%, no, 10%, $3 million, no, $35 to $38 million. Let's not repeat the short-sightedness of the 218 Town Council. Since it appears that the maximum amounts are meaningless, and to avoid ever having another such bumbling meeting in these council chambers, why not just pick a set of extremely high maximum amounts, say $100 million for the balance and $50 million for the annual withdrawal, and put this ordinance to bed? Now something that I am schooled in. Congratulations for passing the 2024-25 budget on time. And congratulations for painting yourselves into a corner for your term's second year of office. You directed the town manager to propose a no increase general government budget, but did not do the same for the school superintendent's Board of Education budget. To no surprise, South Windsor's double-digit property tax increase coupled with rising interest rates on those funds this year, the general government is running a surplus. The only surprise is that the surplus is only $2.5 million that the ordinance modification is addressing, although it appears that it will be higher by the end of the 2024 fiscal year. So the town manager got next year's increase this year. In reality, the general government budget spending will be increasing 5% next year, $2.5 million out of $50 million. But the silver bullets will run out, perhaps as early as the second year of your term. The superintendent has experienced this with her $10 million COVID-related reserve, which may have been prevented from being returned to the town's general fund by the maximums in the ordinance. I don't know. In industry, savvy financial managers do not permit a department to establish a reserve instead of returning the year-end surplus to the company treasury. So the Board of Education was approved with a $70,000 reduction, which is akin to spitting in the ocean. It was approved by a 6-3 vote, with the 6 counselors on the right side of this table voting for it. The result is a 4% property tax increase in 2024-2025, which will make passage of the Board of Education upcoming $8 million turf field tennis court referendum in November even more difficult. These are connected, whether it's a lump sum or layers of bonding spread over their useful lives. It's all green coming out of taxpayers' pockets. Should the schools receive additional money from the state as it uses up its federal COVID relief funds, that money should be used in lieu of tax money to pay for the Board of Education budget, and the town tax mill rate should be downward revised accordingly. I commend one counselor for making a town manager-worthy presentation to explain the options considered, their impact on the mill rate, and the preferred options resulting tax increase on an average priced house in South Windsor, something I was unable to get from either the town manager's office or the tax department last year. But one option was missing, the 2% maximum school spending option. Unfortunately, the counselor got mired in the weeds, seemingly losing sight of the big picture. That picture is the Board of Education budget increasing by 16%, while student enrollment was increasing by only 5% this year and next. And should it be deja vu all over again in the second year of your term, that will be the Board of Education budget increasing 25% over the next 3 years, while the student enrollment increases only 8%. What's wrong with this picture? The job of the town council is not budget line item vetoes. Rather, it's to set the annual spending allowance for the town manager and the school superintendent. The superintendent is paid the big bucks, highest in town, to decide how to spend that allowance. She says that folks move into South Windsor for the schools, but also says that South Windsor is the only town in the state to have built 5 new elementary schools in the last 5 years. Maybe, just maybe, those two are related. Perhaps families are moving into South Windsor for the state-of-the-art new school buildings as much as they are for the school system. People have always gravitated to new shiny things. A 4% tax increase is not no tax increase. Every percent costs $1.5 million. The three counselors in the middle ran for office on no tax increase. I did not come through the South Windsor school. I did not come up through the South Windsor schools, as did several of you. But where I come from, a person's word is their bond. You broke your word. You've lost my trust. So unless you can find a way to reduce taxes by 4% in the second year of your term of office, I don't expect to see you 6 counselors on the right side of the table up there come next November. Hopefully the 3 counselors on the left side of the table who voted against the Board of Education budget will not be collateral damage. They kept their word. In them I trust, and that would be unfair. What's needed is a town council with the spine to direct the school superintendent to propose a maximum 2% increased Board of Education budget. Now, never during the budget cycle did I hear anyone ask, how are we doing? What's in the superintendent's report is all input, not a shred of output. Admittedly, output is more difficult to come by, but it needs to be in the superintendent's budget presentation.
Excuse me, Mr. Pauling, can we wrap it up? Are you close, or?
I am.
Okay, thank you.
The high school's #1 job is to prepare the kids for the next level, be it college, trade school, workforce, or just life. In industry, the relationship between output and input is the company's measure of efficiency. For the schools, output are things like standardized test scores, quality of college acceptance, and survey of graduates a couple years out. But the product of our school system is not just numbers, but standardized test scores are a good place to start. So let me leave you with the most recent numbers that I could find from the Connecticut Department of Education. Therefore, the 2019-2020 school year, the year immediately preceding the pandemic. But that may be a good measuring stick since it's free of the anomalies and excuses associated with the pandemic. There were no standardized tests in 2021 due to COVID. The database is for 300 public schools, and since Connecticut has only 169 towns, it covers most of the state's high schools. South Windsor's results are good, but not exceptional. 6 Connecticut high schools had SAT scores averaging above 1,200, where the grading is between 800 and 1,600. None were South Windsor, nor its reference group. 13 high schools had SAT scores averaging between 1,150 and 1,200. Among them, Avon, Farmington, Glastonbury, West Hartford's Hall High School, and Simsbury.
Excuse me, Mr. Pauling, your comments are kind of off the track of this stabilization fund on the ordinance. We're on the ordinance.
Okay, do you all agree? I'll stop. I have just another minute.
Well, if it's regarding the tax stabilization fund, the ordinance, if it's pertaining to that.
No, this is pertaining to the
And we still have to get other
Board of
public
Directors
input.
budget, which is related to the stabilization fund.
But this is on the actual ordinance,
Okay.
this public hearing.
All right, I'm done.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come forward at this time regarding the ordinance number 222? Seeing none, I have one email to be read into the record from Daria Plummer, Orchard Hill Drive. As I am not able to be present in person this evening for this public hearing, I am asking you to read my comments and support into the record. I am in agreement with the proposal to raise the tax stabilization fund maximum to $6 million and to be able to transfer up to $3 million in any one fiscal year. The previous caps can unintentionally handicap and hold the town back both in good times and in less prosperous times. Good stewardship demands fiscal reasoning on how to best move the town forward using resources meant for the same, raising both the maximum amount within the fund as well as how much we can transfer only makes sense, solid common sense. Thank you for realizing this need. Again, Daria Plummer, Orchard Hill Drive. And seeing none, any more comments? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing at this time, and we'll take a straw poll, which is not scientific. For those in favor of amending this ordinance, please raise your hand. Okay. Any opposed? Okay. We will now resume the regular meeting. Item 8, adoption of the minutes. Councilor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Move that we approve the April 15, 2024 Town Council regular meeting minutes. Be resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the regular Town Council meeting of April 15, 2024. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Councilor King? Just want to make sure. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Councilor King?
Thank you. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the regular Town Council meeting of May 6th, 2024. I move.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Okay. Moving on to item 9, communications from liaisons and officers responsible to the council. Councilor Balboni.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, the Patriotic Commission, Veterans Banner Project that the mayor mentioned earlier will be honoring 33 veterans this year. Veterans, their families, and friends will be able to see their banners for the first time this Wednesday, May 22nd, 4:45 to 6:30 at the South Windsor Community Center, and meet, I'm sorry if I butcher this name, Mihika Joshi, the young woman who originated this project. Banners will be erected this week at Nevers Park, at the Community Center, and at the Town Hall Library Complex. Monday, May 27th is the Memorial Day Parade and Ceremony in South Windsor. The parade begins at 10 South Satellite Road and Nutmeg Road South, goes up Pleasant Valley Road, ending at Veterans Memorial Park, followed by the 11 a.m. ceremony and military flyover at the park. And at our next meeting, June 3rd, we will be recognizing and honoring the essay and poster contest winners. I also have a quick report from the PBC, Public Building Commission. We got a preliminary report from the architect looking to redesign the Parks and Rec building. No financial information has been given yet, but the preliminary report is suggesting doing things in 3 separate phases. We're hoping to have more information ready for June. Pleasant Valley is in the final phases. The issue continues to be the watershed and what to do about the excess water on the front field. Design Professionals has come up with a plan to install French drains to help alleviate the problem.
Anyone else for communications? Councilor Carey?
The Energy Commission met last week, and they're making progress on installing a charger by the library. Tentative date would be August. And also Planning and Zoning met. They did a training session this week, so there were no items on the agenda.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? And now we have National Bike Week month, and a report and presentation by Ginny Hole, co-chair.
Good evening, Mayor Delnicki and councilors. My name is Ginny Hull, and I am the chair. My co-chair moved a year ago. So I am the chair of South Windsor Walk and Wheelways. South Windsor Walk and Wheelways has been a committee for 16 and a half years under the Parks and Rec Commission. And I have several members here with me tonight. I didn't know they were behind me. Skip Burke, Mike Roscoe, and Ken Seck. A few of them had to leave. It was running too late for them. I just want to give you an update. I'm going to be Vanna White for a minute here and just show you this beautiful Parks and Rec catalog that has a lot of adult programs, including our programs for South Windsor Walk and Wheelways. And the goal of South Windsor Walk Wheelways is really to provide safe passages for people, for pedestrians and bicyclists. And I'll get to the National Bike Month in a minute. But what I want to show you in this brochure is for the month of May, which is National Bike Month, we had, right now, we're teaching the 4th grade bicycle program. We offer Wednesday morning adult bike rides for the month of May, and they're probably going to extend it to June because our first 2 Wednesdays were rainy, but they start at 10 o'clock. We also have, starting in June, Thursday evening bike rides, which we meet at the the Connecticut Valley Brewing Company, thank you. And that meets at 6 o'clock every Thursday, and we do that till the end of August. So there's a lot of bicycle opportunities. And the other thing I wanted to mention is it really started last year, but this year I see it really growing and becoming big in our town, is the South Windsor Teen Cycling Club. And this is for both middle school and high school. And they also are inviting any active senior citizens, so that's like 55 and plus, to ride with them. Their rides are going to begin in June. We're going to have some Wednesday evening rides at 6 o'clock. The dates are posted in this beautiful brochure. And then we have some Saturday morning rides that are 9 a.m., and those are going to be longer rides. So the ones at 6 o'clock are only like 10-mile rides, where the Saturday rides would probably be anywhere from 25 to 30 miles. But I did want to let you know the Wednesday and Thursday rides that I mentioned are usually right around 10 to 11 miles on quiet roads and just nice, easy rides. There isn't any racing or anything. We're always there with the last person to make sure everybody gets in quickly or safely, which Rick Balboni has joined on many of our Thursday rides. And all of you guys are invited. And the other thing I wanted to invite you to as well is this week is our second school that we're offering the 4th grade bike program. We did Pleasant Valley School back in April. They had 6 4th grade classes, so we were there for 2 weeks. Each program runs 3 days a week with a rain date. And this week we started today at Eli Terry. That has 4 4th grade program classes, so it will run for 4 days with a rain date. So if you guys are welcome to come watch it. I know some of you are working, but if you do have time, we are running it from 9 to 2:30 there's an hour break from 12:45 to 1:45. It's a great program. The reason I really want to talk about this more, and we've had so many, we started this program back in 2010, but it was officially our program in 2014 when the town purchased 25 bikes and a bike trailer and the equipment that we use to maintain bikes. We got many thank yous from the students and from the teachers. And we also we were the first in Connecticut to start this fourth grade bike program. And we have many towns that come to our programs and have started in their own town, like Simsbury. Manchester's going to be coming this week. We have Mansfield, Bolton, Avon. Many, many towns have come to see what our program is all about. Thank you. So I just want to let you know how good this program is. It involves a lot of groups. It's the PE teachers, the South Windsor Public Schools. There's a lot of scheduling about the fourth grade teachers. Parks and Rec, Public Works, who was recognized today. They move our trailer back and forth to each school that we're at, or store our trailer and keep it maintained. South Windsor Parks and South Windsor Commission, because they help support the program. So a lot of people are involved to make this happen. It's a good thing, and the reason I want to mention why it's so good is we do have students that can ride, and we're teaching bicycle safety. There are times when we have students that never had a chance to ride or learn, so we do that as well. But we found that it really boasts confidence, builds character, overcomes fears, fosters self-esteem. There's positive changes in attitude, improves balance, strengthens trust. It's empowering because they learn how to maintain their bike as well, and they have safety skills that they know how to use. It's team building, and it's fun. Every time we finish a program, they ask if we're coming again next year for 5th grade. So I just want to put that out there because this is a great program and to keep on supporting it. The schools buy the helmets for the students, and there's just a lot of people that make this program happen that I want to thank. And thank you for, if you have a chance to come see it, it's a great thing to see how much the students love it. On the third day, I want to let you know after they learned all their skills, they actually get to ride in the neighborhood, a nearby neighborhood, to test their skills. And on the other part of that program on the third day is they learn how to change a flat tire, if their chain fell off, how to put that back on, release the brakes, several things like that, like they know the basics to repair the bike. The other thing I wanted to bring up, okay, so I still have time. So also I wanted to mention for the 4th grade program, we're always looking for volunteers, whether it's parent volunteers, people that have retired, anybody is welcome to help us. You can come, mostly just for spotters. If you want to learn more, we will teach you. But if you want to just come see what it's like, and if you like it, let us know. I gave you each a brochure. We also have a website that's set up now by Stephanie Parker. She's a staff member of Parks and Rec, and she has really updated our website so it has all the information about the bike program, volunteers, all the events I just mentioned, including state events that are happening, like we just had Discover Connecticut through Bike Walk Connecticut, that was yesterday. All these events that are coming up, there's Ride the East, which is the East Coast Greenway, Ride across the state. Those events are all posted on the website. The way to get to that website is to go through Parks and Rec, click on click on adult programs, and then you'll see that it'll say South Windsor Walk and Wheelways. And then under that, we have, we don't have our stuff set up about us, but we have all our events, we have resources, we have the rides, all the events that are coming up, a lot of hiking, which I didn't mention, there's also a sunset walk coming up. There's a lot of pens up here. There's a sunset walk coming up on June 7th. And the other thing I want to mention is on the other page that you see on this catalog is page 47, and the events are on 46. It lists where all the bike racks are, which is something we have funded as well, either from donations or grants. And the last thing I wanted to mention is on the bike program, we just received another grant, $5,000 through the Department of Transportation. It's a micro grant, and we can use it to purchase bikes, which is what we plan to do because now our bikes are over 10 years old. Also, we want to purchase more adaptive bikes, and we have one person. We also want to announce that we have a new league certified instructor that just passed her test this past weekend. So now we have 4 certified instructors. We used to have more, but several have moved. So we're trying to increase that number as well. But we have a lot of great volunteers that are really good instructors as well. The last thing I just want to talk about is the Crosstown Trail, because I announced back in December that we had received funding. So I just want to give you an update that the design for Phase 1A, which is from Wapping Park to Priest Farm, that's in the phase where we're just waiting for final approval we're going to meet with the Wetlands Commission for permitting. And Eversource is supposed to be getting back to us as far as, I think there's some kind of application there that we're waiting for. And DOT, because I know DOT is involved in this because we have some traffic beacons that will have to go across Ellington Road when you go from Wapping Park to the property that's right next to the conservation property, which is, I think it's called, oh my gosh, another pen fell. It's a land trust. So anyways, we're hoping to have a traffic beacon there. So I just wanted to give you an update on all those things. I think I covered everything. And we are also on Facebook, and come out and join us. So if you have any questions for me, please let me know. And thank you for having me tonight.
Councilor Pendleton?
Thank you. Wow. Wow. The wow is about the blue shirts. I love them. No, I'm kidding. Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Wait.
Good to see you.
I did have one more minute here, and I forgot I was supposed to do. So usually I have done like a safety helmet fit.
Go ahead.
But what I want to do, and changing it up a little bit, is I want to let you know, okay, so when you go, it's warm now. You're going to see a lot of bicyclists out there riding on the roads. We're sharing the roads. We share it with the pedestrians, with the automobiles, and the bicyclists. Bicyclists, please ride on the right-hand side of the road. Please obey all the signs and traffic signs. Wear your helmet. Wear something bright. And also use your hand signals so that people know what you're going to do. You want to be predictable. So you want to let them know, I'm taking a right turn. I'm taking a left turn. And this is for stopping. Use all those hand signals to let people know what you're doing. So there's no accidents and you're riding safely. And I think that was all my safety input that I really wanted to say, just some basic stuff.
I'm glad you covered that. Thank you. Is there a spot where folks can learn those bike hand gestures?
Yes, so on our website now, there's a section called resources, and there's lots of videos of that teach you the hand signals, anything you could think of, and how to ride, it's there, including maintenance.
Good.
Helmet fit, maintenance, everything is out there. And we're going to be continue working with Stephanie Parker to put more information out there. Like we want to be able to post like where all the bike racks are on the website. I do want to mention, because the town manager talked about the story map for sidewalks. We have a story map for the Crosstown Trail. So if you go down to Crosstown Trail, click on that, it's going to give, and there's the best, I think, it's going to give you an overall write-up about the trail itself, because it's 6.2 miles. It goes from Clark Street near Chapel all the way to Niederhofer Road. That's the plan anyways. But the first phase that I mentioned, 1A from Wapping Park to Priest Farm, that has pictures, and it marks, like a GPS marking will show you where on the map those pictures are taken of the trail, the proposed trail that's coming up. And then once we complete it, we'll then update it with the real-time pictures of the what the trail will look like. but it's really cool, interactive story map you should go on and see. It's so easy to use. So there's a lot of stuff out there. We've been lucky that we have a great staff, town staff, to be able to work with. They're all so great.
Okay, I'll finish where I was with the well. I love the new shirts. Those are great. Hi, Mike, how you doing? Good to see you. I have to say, sitting here and seeing where you've come from 10 years ago to where it is now, I am absolutely blown away, and I'm so extremely proud of the volunteers and the program that you have created where other towns are coming to learn, because we're a great example. I am I really am so overwhelmed with everything that you just said and the growth in everything that you have offered to so many in our community, for ones that don't know how to ride. I'm not, Skip, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to ride with teenagers. No, I'll never be able to do it. Yeah, okay, seniors, a senior ride. But I am just, and thank you to the town staff for helping and participating in this program, and all the departments that participate in this. To get volunteers to help you guys and to help you grow, and to, even if they just show up for the school time, I highly encourage anyone in our community. Maybe they don't ride, maybe they have bad knees, maybe they don't, but they like helping with children and teaching.
Right.
They can still contact who to become a volunteer? How would they do that?
So we have a email right now. I put in, it's on all the brochures you have, and I just put a stack of them out there. I'm going to replenish the stack at Parks and Rec as well, but they will also find it on the website, the email that they can contact us at.
Thank you. And I just have to say, I know it's difficult to put in so many free hours of your time being a volunteer. I myself do that down at Wood and have been doing that for, 29, 30 years or something. But I'm just saying, it's a wonderful thing to look back, to know all the lives that you've positively affected in moving forward. And the growth of you guys is amazing, amazing. So thank you. I want to say personally thank you to your families and your kids and everybody that's involved in your lives for allowing you to volunteer for our community and all the positive stuff that you've done. Thank you.
Thank you. And we meet Wednesday night, once a month, Wednesday night, the second Wednesday of the night, 7 o'clock at Parks and Rec. You're welcome to come to our committee meetings. And we're also looking for more volunteers to help us there too. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Don't leave yet. Deputy Mayor Sarakusa.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will be quick. I have 2 questions. It's hard to believe that we haven't really started our meeting quite yet. So
Right.
I do live on Niederwiffer, so I am very interested in this trail. I know the picture shows that the pathway is going to be paved. Is that correct, or is it going to be some sort of?
Yes.
Awesome.
There may be some parts that may be stone dusted. All depends on the terrain of where it's going, but for the most part, it's paved, and we're hoping that way also people with, whether they're in a wheelchair or whatever, but, more people will be able to use it.
Perfect, thank you. That leads to my next question. The bird sanctuary, which I believe is a hidden gem in town, I don't think enough people know about it. I'm assuming the access to the bike trail would be from that parking lot. Do you expect that part to be more crushed gravel because it is more of a wooded park?
Right. Because the closest access really for riding on a paved path will probably be either Niederwiffer or, wouldn't it be also, well, actually you can, and also from the back side of the wildlife sanctuary, because we envision the path running along parallel to Barbara Hill Road and then going through into the power lines corridor, so that you'd be able to access there. But in order to go from the parking lot from the Niederwiffer side, you would have to, if you had a mountain bike, it would be easy to ride there. A road bike, it might be a little more difficult, but you can do it from the back side on Barbara Hill.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Balboni.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Jenny, for your presentation. When is that first Thursday night ride again?
I think it's June 9th, isn't it? Let's see.
I think it would be absolutely wonderful.
It's June 13th.
I think it would be absolutely wonderful if all 9 town councilors could make it to that and go on a ride.
And
it's only 10 miles.
Right, and the ride goes down to Main Street and back, It's quiet roads. It gives you a good idea of what it's like to be on the road. And we picked quiet roads, so it's a good way to see what it's like to ride in South Windsor if you have not already.
All right. Thank
That's
you,
it.
Jenny.
Thank you for
Thanks,
having
Skip.
us tonight. Take care. And more pens are on the floor.
Moving on to reports and committees, item 10. Anybody have any reports on, Counselor Baganski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Insurance Committee had its triannual meeting a couple weeks ago. Primarily, we just go through loss trending across all of the town's insurance policies. It's been fairly consistent. There was a little spike in activity in the health insurance or medical plan that's since leveled off. And one thing we did ask the insurance brokers to provide us some detailed claims information, is we'd like to do some deeper data analysis potentially to find some cost savings for the town in the insurance premiums on the healthcare side. And that was pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. And I'll report that the Personnel Committee met today for an hour and a half just to go over the annual evaluation of the town manager. And that's all I have. Any other committees? Seeing none. Moving on to 11, item 11, consent agenda. Councilor Baganski.
Motion to approve 11B1 through 11B3 as a second reading on the consent agenda.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Moving on to, we don't have 11A, miscellaneous, seeing none. Moving on to item 14, passage of the ordinance resolution, Deputy Mayor Siracusa.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution accepting the amendments to ordinance number 222 Tax Stabilization Fund Program. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the proposed amendments to ordinance number 222 Tax Stabilization Fund Program as more fully described in Exhibit D.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Pendleton?
We received Exhibit D here, and to clarify what I'm seeing, the fund balance, the numbers are going to be, instead of the $3 million cap, it's going to be raised to $6 million. Is that correct?
That's in the proposal, yes.
I'm sorry?
That's what's in the proposal here, yes.
And then the maximum amount that can be taken out will go from 50 to, what?
It'll go from 500,000 to 3 million in the proposal.
I'm looking at D. And D is the 500,000 to 6 million. And then I'm also looking at E.
No, E is 500,000 to 3 million. D is 3 million to 6 million.
Okay, so E is the minimum transfer I see is 50,000. Okay, and the maximum would go up to 3 million in one fiscal year. As I stated in the last meeting, I have no problem with re-evaluating this, because as the gentleman said, I did create this 6 years ago, and at that time, those numbers were reality, acceptable low numbers. And as our economy and our times change, the numbers, I think, should increase. Absolutely, I have no problem with that. Yeah, so as I said, to review it makes sense.
Any further discussion? Councilor Carey? No further discussion. We had a motion. We have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Moving on to unfinished business, 12A, Counselor Carey.
Be it resolved that the tax rate of 34.46 mils be levied on the grand list of October 1st, 2023, based upon total revenues excluding non-tax revenues of $23,356,475, which includes an appropriation from fund balance in the amount of $0, an appropriation from the tax stabilization fund in the amount of $2.5 million, to finance total expenditures of $151,858,390, made up of a Board of Education budget.
151 million.
I said that.
I think you said 1,000. I mean, I
no.
could have heard wrong.
151,858,390, made up of a Board of Education budget of 94,580,656, a capital projects budget of 3,364,567, and a general government budget of 53,913,167, all of which have been adopted by the South Windsor Town Council for the fiscal year commencing on July 1st, 2024, and terminating on June 30th, 2025.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Counselor Carey?
No.
Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Seeing. Roll call, please.
Counselor Brzezinski?
No.
Counselor Lewis? Oh, never mind. Counselor Balboni?
No.
Counselor Carey?
Yes.
Mayor Del Nicky?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Saracusa?
Yes.
Counselor King?
Yes.
Counselor Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Counselor Pendleton?
Okay, motion passes 5-3. Moving on to 12B. Counselor Balboni.
Mayor Delnecki, do we need to check to make sure 5-3 is a pass?
Yeah,
on
5-3,
the-
5-3 is a pass.
For the mill rate?
5-3, yes. 5-3
Okay.
is a majority.
Table.
I think you're good with 5. Did you know, Councilor Carey, did you see somewhere 6? I'm trying to remember, and I can't find it in the charter or in your council rules. So I see 5.
Doesn't have to be 2/3 according to
No.
Robert's rules?
No, this is.
So what's 2/3 of 8?
Whoa, slow down.
Okay.
The vote was on the resolution to set the tax and the mill rate, and that requires a 5 votes. So you got the 5 votes. Not 2/3.
Thank you.
Okay, motion passed 5-3. Thank you. Moving on to 12B, Counselor Balboni.
Resolution appointing a rate maker for fiscal year 2024-2025. Be it resolved, the South Windsor Town Council hereby appoints Michael Maniscalco, Town Manager, as rate maker for fiscal year 2024-2025.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion passes. Moving on to item 13A, Counselor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that it be resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby accept the fiscal year 2024-25 suspense list as proposed and submitted to the Town Council by the Collector of Revenue as shown in the attached Exhibit A.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Moving on to 13B, Counselor Balboni.
Resolution setting the 24-25 tax rate for real estate, personal property, and motor vehicle. Be it resolved, the tax rate of 34.46 mils for real estate and personal property and 32.46 for motor vehicles be levied on the grand list of October 1st, 2023.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Counselor Pendleton?
You have Mr. Maniscalco, the 32.46 for motor vehicle taxes, we lost 2. How much money did we lose because of the state reduced? Can you explain that a little bit? Some towns are at a
Sure.
different mill rate than we are, and we lost money because of that, and explain that.
The state put in place a motor vehicle cap at 32.46 mils. At the time they put that in, they came up with a grant from the state to make up the loss of revenue from what our mill rate was at that time. Our mill rate at that time was around 38 and change. So basically, we received a state grant that gave us about $1.9 to $2 million, somewhere around there. As a result of revaluation, which brought our mill rate down, it changed that delta this year. So as a result, we lost about $1.9 million from a state grant.
Okay, and so we are at the state cap level at the 32.46?
We're above the state cap level.
I thought you said that's what it was. What's the state
So
cap?
the state cap is 32.46. Our mill rate for real estate is 34.46. So
And will we
we're-
get any funds from the state because of that difference now?
Sure, in next year's budget, we would get some additional grant funds for that delta.
Okay.
But it won't be anywhere near the 2 million.
Right.
Like we were before.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Moving on to item 13C, Counselor Fitzgerald.
Resolution approving a fair housing policy. Whereas all persons are afforded a right to full and equal housing opportunities in the neighborhood of their choice, and whereas federal fair housing laws require that all individuals, regardless of race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, or national origin, be given equal access to all housing-related opportunities, including rental and homeownership opportunities, and be allowed to make free choices regarding housing location, and Whereas Connecticut fair housing laws require that all individuals, regardless of race, creed, color, national origin, ancestry, sex, marital status, age, lawful source of income, familial status, learning disability, physical or mental disability, sexual orientation, or gender identity or expression, be given equal access to all housing-related opportunities, including rental and home ownership opportunities, and be allowed to make free choices regarding housing location. And whereas the town of South Windsor is committed to upholding these laws and realizes that these laws must be supplemented by an affirmative statement publicly endorsing the right of all people to full and equal housing opportunities in the neighborhood of their choice. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town of South Windsor hereby endorses a fair housing policy to ensure equal opportunity for all persons to rent, purchase, obtain financing, and enjoy all other housing-related services of their choice on a non-discriminatory basis as provided by state and federal law, and be it further resolved that the Chief Executive Officer of the town of South Windsor or his/her designated representative is responsible for responding to and assisting any person who alleges to be the victim of an illegal discriminatory housing practice in the town of South Windsor, and for advising such person of the right to file a complaint with the State of Connecticut Commission on Human Rights and Opportunities, CHRO, or the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, or to seek assistance from the Connecticut Fair Housing Center, Legal Services, or other fair housing organizations to protect his or her right to equal housing opportunities.
Second.
Drink your water now. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Councilor Pendleton?
Thank you. Mr. Maniscalco, this came down from Michelle up in planning, did it not? Where did this come from?
Sure. So this is a annual resolution that we're supposed to approve in order to ensure that we're eligible to receive the HUD grant that we're applying for.
Okay, and we've been waiting on this housing policy for quite some time. Michelle's been working on it, and they...
No, this didn't come from Michelle.
This is different?
Different.
Oh, this is completely different? Okay.
We've actually passed this one last year and the year before. It's an annual thing that we need to have.
Oh, it's the annual thing?
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Moving on to 13D, Deputy Mayor Siracusa.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution approving the Registrar of Voters Emergency Voting Contingency Plan. Whereas, according to Connecticut State Statute 9-174A-1, an emergency contingency plan for elections must be instituted by each municipality. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the Registrar of Voters Emergency Contingency Plan for elections as shown in attached Exhibit B.
Do I hear a second? Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Okay, 13E, Councilor Bugiansky.
Resolution authorizing Town Manager Michael Maniscalco to participate in a small cities grant application for upgrades to Flax Hill. Whereas federal monies are available under the Connecticut Small Cities Community Development Block Grant Program administered by the State of Connecticut Department of Housing pursuant to Public Law 93-383 as amended, and whereas pursuant to Chapter 127C and Part 6 of Chapter 130 of the Connecticut General Statutes, the Commissioner of Housing is authorized to disperse such federal monies to local municipalities, and whereas it is desirable and in the public interest that the town of South Windsor make application to the state for $2 million in order to undertake a small cities community development program and to execute an assistance agreement, therefore, should one be offered. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the South Windsor Town Council, one, that is cognizant of the conditions and prerequisites for state assistance imposed by Part 6 of Chapter 130 of the Connecticut General Statutes, and two, that the filing of an application by the town of South Windsor in an amount not to exceed $2 million is hereby approved, and that Michael Maniscalco, Town Manager of the Town of South Windsor, is hereby authorized and directed to file such application with the Commissioner of the Department of Housing to provide such additional information, to execute such other documents as may be required by the Commissioner, to execute an assistance agreement with the State of Connecticut for state financial assistance if such an agreement is offered, to execute any amendments, rescissions, and revisions thereto, and to act as the authorized representative of the Town of South Windsor.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Item 13F, Councilor Carey.
Resolution accepting the resignation of Michael LeBlanc from the Planning and Zoning Commission effective May 29th, 2024. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby accepts with regret the resignation of Michael LeBlanc from the Planning and Zoning Commission effective May 29th, 2024. And be it further resolved that the South Windsor Town Council extends its thanks to Michael LeBlanc for the time dedicated to serving his community by his membership on the Planning and Zoning Commission.
We have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Councilor Carey?
I just wanted to mention that Michael LeBlanc has been a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission for many years and has a background in engineering and therefore has brought a great deal of knowledge and information to that board. And so we truly, appreciate all that he's done.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Item 13G, Councilor Pendleton.
Resolution accepting the resignation of Stephen Wagner from the Water Pollution Control Authority effective April 11th, 2024. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby accepts with regret the resignation of Stephen Wagner from the Water Pollution Control Authority effective April 11, 2024, and be it further resolved that the South Windsor Town Council extends its thanks to Stephen Wagner for the time dedicated to serving his community by his membership on the Water Pollution Control Authority.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Councilor Pendleton?
Yes, I'd just like to personally say thank you to Mr. Wagner for all the time that he's dedicated to the Water Pollution Control Authority and the hard work that he did along with the staff to effectively get our treatment plant up to speed down on Main Street, and the hard work and effort and energies that he put into that, and help and thank him for the time that he put in to figuring out our sewer fee that we have, and he's confident, he says, in our current leadership will continue to find work down on Main Street, down at the water treatment plant. So thank you, Mr. Wagner, for all your time and energy.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. 13H, Councilor Pendleton.
Resolution approving refund batch 44 for 5 tax refunds totaling $1,567.35. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves 5 refunds, the total of said refunds being $1,567.35, and as more fully described in Exhibit C.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. We're on to item 13I. Deputy Mayor Siracusa.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As Sydney came up and spoke earlier during public input, we received an email from her and was able to call her and was welcomed at her home, which was amazing. And I just believe that, we've been talking in the public eye about abatements and when they make the most sense. And I think the agreement and the noise around town is that these residential apartments, it's not a great thing. Businesses, sure, but I think as politicians or people in general trying to, make things happen, we tend to focus on the big, great things like, the home market foods and whatnot. But I truly believe that we were elected to represent everybody and focus on the little things as well. And I don't want to say what you're doing is a little thing, but what was it, 9? There's 9? Okay, no, home care. Yeah, we have 9 home care providers, which in my opinion is extremely low. I believe you mentioned that there's a possibility that there's some others out there that maybe aren't licensed. And I truly believe, after hearing what I've heard and just knowing, I have 2 little ones and a 3rd one on the way, so a lot of our friends do drive 2, 3, 4 towns away, some in the opposite direction from where they work, just to find a daycare for their children. So I'm extremely open to supporting this. I believe the woman who came before, oh, you're still here? You're from Ellington, correct? And you said it was 3 years at 50%? Yep. Okay, which, I think is extremely reasonable. My hope is that this would incentivize other men or women to open up these home care facilities. You said you're limited to 6 children total. I'm sorry. I know there's a strong need, and I believe you. How many years of service did you say? 28 years, so nearly 30 years of service she's been providing for children in our town. I know I attended a home daycare in my neighborhood. It was somebody that my mother and father trusted and got to actually know on a personal level, and they entrusted her to also discipline me in a way that a parent would, and I just feel that one-on-one did a lot for my life. So I'm in complete support of trying to figure out some sort of agreement here to help these 9 folks and show them that we really care about what they're doing. And again, hopefully it sparks maybe somebody else looking for an additional revenue stream in their home to do the same, because it will also help the growing problem that we have in our town and provide young families with young children the opportunity to simply drop their kids off in town and then head to work. And thank you for coming.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I just want to be clear on what we're talking about, because it says a discussion item is child care tax abatements. So is that, because several times, Deputy Mayor, you mentioned home care. But, so are we talking about, because that's not what was presented to us. So I need to know the difference between home care and child care. If we're talking about a tax abatement, there's a difference between coming to the King home or going to the King business, which is a brick and mortar somewhere else. So if you could clarify, what are we talking about specifically? All child care we're talking about, so any child care, because I don't even know what that 6 or 9, that would have been great to see whoever it was up here, because I know we have child care facilities and I know some of the owners and I didn't see them. So I'm just wondering, maybe it didn't include them.
I believe through you, I believe the town attorney could clear this up, because it actually is a state, it's a state policy that allows us, it's a state statute that allows us a maximum amount of years that these folks, and it is home daycare, so I'll let the town attorney answer that.
Okay.
Right, so let me start by saying that there's actually 2 state statutes that allow municipalities to adopt a tax abatement program for either businesses or homes providing child care. One's 12-81N and one's 12-81LL. And the more recent one, the one that was passed in 2022, is 12-81LL. It breaks down, to answer your question, Councilor King, it breaks down child care facilities basically into 3 different groups. There's a group child care home, there's a child care center, and there's a family child care home. Each of those have different licensing requirements, different numbers of children in the homes or settings, and the different types of child care facilities would have to be spelled out in the ordinance and really dictate how you want to provide this abatement. The only other requirement is that these are licensed facilities. So each of these facilities, whether it's in the home or in a business, place of business, has to be licensed by the Department of Early Childhood. And that's the requirement in order to take advantage of the abatement. So you could enact an ordinance for licensed child care home facilities. You could structure it however you want. To Deputy Mayor Syracuse's point, it is up to 100% of property taxes due for the year, not more than 5 years for any property or portion of the property. It doesn't define, it could be personal property, if it's a leased situation, if you have a business in a leased place of business. It could be something in your home. I think you have to be cognizant of what portion of somebody's home is being used for the business. So there's a lot of nuances to it, and I'm happy to work with Deputy Mayor Syracuse, yourself, whoever, to put this together. We did a memo to the Town Council back in October of 2022 that kind of reviewed that newly adopted statute back then, and happy to circulate that again.
Thank you for that clarification. And just to be clear, I have no problem with it as the oldest of 7 kids. Fortunately, I had a stay-at-home mom, but today child care has just gotten crazy. And I think as long as we have people who are responsible that can take care of our young generation, I'm all about it. My only concern was just making sure that if we enact one piece of an abatement, who does it cover? How much does it cover? So that we don't have somebody saying, well, I'm doing something at my house, and then somebody says, well, I've had this business, how come I'm not getting $5 grand, or whatever it might be. So I just want to be clear on that, so that when we do make a final decision on what the abatement is, who is it going towards, so that we don't have a bunch of confusion by someone saying, well, my basement is my business, and they don't have the same amount of, say, expenditures that a brick and mortar may have. So I'm fine with that. I just wanted to make sure that we're clear when we do eventually vote, that's all part and written out.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, to be clear, we as a council were reached out to by a home daycare provider, so that's where my support lies, just because that's the research that I've done. And I will say that their house was almost entirely dedicated to that service. I mean, you couldn't see a square inch in there that wasn't pictures of the kids, toys, everything, besides the kitchen table that we were sitting at. So that's where definitely my support and my hope that this abatement would go towards. So thank you for pointing that out. And I don't know the terminology, but I know they do have to be officially licensed. But whatever license that they have, those 9 folks, that's definitely kind of the action that I'm hoping that we can take.
Mr. Town Attorney, with his with Deputy Mayor's example, can someone's entire house be abated? If the whole house is used for the daycare, so the first floor, second floor?
Well, I would say probably not if it's their residence as well as their child care facility. The abatement goes to the property being used for the licensed child care facility. It can be a portion of the real estate. It can be the personal property, the physical equipment, things like that is used in that business. But I think at the end of the day, if this is also your residence, then I don't think you can abate 100% of your personal residence for the operation of a child care center in that residence. It's that portion of the property. The statute says that portion of the property used for that facility. So.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Carey?
I think that, you know, the idea of providing an abatement is a good idea. I do think that, as, you know, Councilor King brought up, that one of the things we need to do is understand the regulations and understand, you know, what we as a town council want to set this abatement up. We also should talk to someone, I don't know if this would be under planning or someone in the town, because you need to track it, how you're going to track the 5 years. So just need to do that. And then I do appreciate very much you coming and telling us about Coventry and Ellington. I think the other thing that we should probably do is find out, what those other towns are doing. Like, if there's language already in Coventry and Ellington, let's take a look at the language they use so we aren't reinventing the wheel. But I do think there's a little bit of research that we want to do here, because it does say that you can also be doing abatements for child care centers. And so we need to differentiate what is it we want to do. I'm not saying we don't want to do that, but I know your question came from the daycare in the home setting. So I think we want to make sure that we address that at the same time.
I would follow up. I think we can get our hands on some of those other ordinances that are out there already, so we could take a look at what those are. Most likely the assessor's department would be the portion of the town that would be looking into how, managing how many years and who's getting what and where applications would get filled out. So that's where that portion would be handled. The town attorney and myself right now, we're even just batting around the idea of how would we determine what percentage of a home is actually used for the daycare versus actual living. Like, that's going to be, some of those nuanced pieces are going to be challenging. I know in the previous year, when this was an item that was brought up with the previous council, one of the things that was discussed is the town has a number of larger child care facilities within the community that are franchised, more commercial in nature. And from my personal experience, from what I understand of some of them, I mean, they're multi-billion-dollar organizations, and the feeling was that they didn't need abatements in order to continue running. We were looking more at the in-home, smaller home child care facilities. So.
Thank you. Councilor Fitzgerald?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to say that I was fortunate enough when my children were small to be able to send them to a home daycare. And I think it takes a very special person and a very special family to open up a portion of their home to care for other people's children. It was a much, much better option for my family to be able to send our children to a smaller place that wasn't, packed with kids and germs. And they, to this day, they love the woman whose home that they were in. So I think this is a great thing to do for people that are willing to offer up, and alter portions of their home to take care of other people's children. I do want to be cautious and cognizant as we discuss this about kind of, we just finished setting the budget and using, $2.5 million from the tax stabilization fund to keep the tax increase lower. And now we're talking about, lowering our tax base or how much money we're going to be collecting in taxes. So, I'm extremely supportive of this concept and doing an abatement for home daycare centers. I just think we need to be cognizant as we're doing these things that, it might work out 1 year or 2 years, but all of these decisions that we're making are going to have ramifications down the road. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Baginski?
Thank you. Just a couple of points. So to Mr. Maniscalco's point, I guess we're going to have some conversation and clarification around, is this just for in-home, private? We're not talking about, big national scale.
Like kinder care or something?
Correct. Anything that's, okay. So I just wanted to.
The 9 in our town.
Correct. Okay. Okay. And then, Mr. Corella, I'm not sure if this is still the active one, but statute 21 or 12-81N, it says here up to 10% of the balance of the assessed value of the property of the business. So I'm assuming that's probably the real property, because you can up to 100% of the assessed value of the property of the business used in providing child care services. I'm assuming that's all the personal property and whatnot that's related to, and then up to 10% of the.
So 12-81N, which you have in your packet, was a statute adopted in 1990. It was modified in 2015. It provides the ability for municipality to provide abatements to businesses offering child care services to residents of the municipality. It's poorly written, in my opinion, and it wasn't until 2022 that the legislature actually passed the law that allows home-based child care service providers to get some sort of exemption at the local municipal level with your adoption of some sort of abatement program. So 12-81LL is the statute that you want to look to, not 12-81N.
And any chance you could get us a copy of that for
Sure.
review? Thank you. And then lastly, Mr. Maniscalco, could you have someone work on maybe just getting us, they don't really have to do the actual financial impact, but just the locations that would be part of this and what the assessed value is, so
Sure.
we can play with the numbers ourselves and
So last time when we looked at it, we were able to get information about the larger, child care facilities within the community because they have to be licensed and inspected by the local public health department, things of that nature. We struggled with the home-based businesses because getting those lists and understanding how many there actually are. I know tonight the number of 9 has been batted around. I'm not 100% confident that's really the number. The Department of Public Health was not so forthcoming with that information the last time we tried. We can certainly try again, but.
Okay. Yeah, we'd just like to Councilor Fitzgerald's point, just like to kind of maybe try to back into a number, what the potential tax impact to the town is.
We found that, the last time when we tried, we found that next to impossible. So we could try again, though, to see if we could get that information.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Councilor Pendleton?
I kind of don't know where to begin. This is going to take a little bit of time for the folks that are out there doing childcare. Know that this won't happen at the next meeting as quickly. There's a lot of information that needs to be gathered and put together, the proper resolution or the ordinance or what have you, probably a resolution. But Mr. Maniscalco, is it not true that, as you mentioned, the assessor's office has the business listed so they can be taxed accordingly or whatever, and they also need to draw out a portion of, in their home, what's being used as that business? I remember doing that when I had my own business in home.
Well, yes and no.
Okay?
It'll depend.
Well, no, I mean, I don't want somebody to say, oh, it's 100%, or it's the first floor minus the 2 bedrooms we use, and, I mean, they really technically should have some type of and I think they should, if they're gonna apply for or get an abatement, they should have some type of a plan registered with the town.
So if we were to put something forward and actually implement it, there would have to be some way for either the business to be inspected by the assessor's department or some honor system in an application that they fill out that somehow says my business takes up, 10% of my home or 20% or 100%. So there'd have to be something of that nature that we'd have to build into it.
There has to be some follow-through with what they're claiming to be. And we don't have that LL, by the way, so we're going to need that to be able to read. I know tonight is just a discussion, but I truly believe that we need to tap into all of our departments, the health department, the assessor's office, the tax department, every department that we have, even planning, because I know there's special rules with all of this for the zoning and what they are and where they do and how they do it. And also the financial impact that this may have. Because I see a list here, it's mentioned that 9, there's mentioned 9, but I see more than 9 on this listing that we have.
Yeah, so as I said, last time, the one that you have on the list, those are the bigger child care facilities within the community.
Okay.
So the ones we're talking about are the home-based ones.
Yes.
And we tried to get the list from the Department of Public Health at the state last time because that's where they're getting their license from, and they were not forthcoming with that information.
Are those the ones that go and inspect the in-home, or does our health department go and inspect the in-home?
I don't believe our health department goes and inspects in-home.
Okay.
That would be the state.
Again, there's a lot of information I think that needs to be gathered before even a draft resolution could be written up. I think all of us need to review all the information that's gathered by the various departments before any draft resolution comes forward. And then whatever the updated state statute is, because we don't have that either. So, thank you.
I can circulate a copy of the updated statute along with my memo from 2022, reviewing it. Okay, I'll send it to you.
So for the future, though, would this be an ordinance or just a resolution?
I think it's an ordinance. I think the statute requires an ordinance. I'll check on that, but I think the statute requires a municipal ordinance. It doesn't say. Municipality may by a vote of its legislative body abate, you can just do it by resolution, I guess. Yeah. Does not necessarily have to be an ordinance.
Okay.
The resolution?
Could be.
Councilor Carey?
Yeah, it's from statutes.
Mr. Maniscalco, I apologize, I wasn't sure if I heard you. Are you going to gather other towns?
Yeah, I'm going to get the abatement, whether the resolution or ordinance from Coventry and Ellington. So I've got those. We're going to get the state statute sent out to all of you, and then I'm going to try to get the number of home-based daycares that are licensed with the Department of Public Health that are in town, so that we could determine the value that they have on the grand list.
Is there any way to get any of the other local towns that might have passed this? Like, do you know of any others, or no?
Ellington and Coventry are the only two I'm aware of. I can reach out to CCM and do a research request, but that'll take you a bit longer.
Okay. I'll do some research to see if I can find any other towns.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Great point by Councilor Fitzgerald. Definitely agree with you. And then to Mr. Maniscalco's point, and to what I said before, I mean, my kids right now are in more of a institutionalized daycare center, and what they can do, because they know the problem exists, they just jacked up our rates, and it is what it is. The last thing my wife and I are going to do is take our children out, because then our third child isn't grandfathered in, and then now we lose our spot in that school. And I believe that's even more of a benefit to these home daycares. They understand the families, they fall in love with the kids and the parents, and they work with them and understand and know exactly what each one of these families may be going through. And in the business world, I really don't like to hear, you know, impossible or can't be done. And we have a woman sitting here from Ellington. I mean, to me, you call up Ellington, see how they did it, and then we ask our town attorney to translate that into how we can do it here, and then we have a discussion about it. It doesn't seem to be very difficult, in my opinion. You know, someone did the work already for us. So that's, in my opinion, who we need to call and find out. So
I could say Coventry just decided to pass it without doing the research behind it.
I'm not saying not to do any research. I'm saying do research with the towns that did it, and see if that will help clarify how we can do it here. Thank you.
Seeing, Councilor Fitzgerald.
Thank you. I was just going to say, Mr. Maniscalco, I used to be an employee at the Department of Public Health, so if I can be helpful at all in getting that information for you, I'm happy to
I have
assist.
your number now. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, moving on to item 15, public input for any matter. Public input for any matter over which the council has jurisdiction shall not exceed 30 minutes. When recognized by the mayor, the speaker shall approach the lectern, give their name and address. Speakers shall avoid personal attacks or impugning or alleging an improper motive to any person. The speakers may address the council on any item over which the council has jurisdiction. The speaker shall be limited his speaking time to 5 minutes. Is there anyone from the public who'd like to come forward at this time? And you please state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes. Good evening, Council. My name is Robert Lavoie, 81 Chapel Road. I've noticed that they've been doing some work on our street, and no one got notified. No one knew what was going on. I've noticed there have been markings on the roads, and they've been digging up the lawns. And we know the street is in very poor condition. It's been like that for a while. The tractor trailers, when they go by, it sounds like a freight train going through. They said there was people working over there digging for the poles, and they said that they were gonna have to move everything back. I have arborvitaes that have been there for 45 years. I bought the house like that, and I was hoping that they wouldn't have to do anything like that. They said they might be having to put sidewalks. The guy that was talking there, I didn't know too much. He was just telling me these things, so we're not really sure what's going on. And we got no notification of any sort. As for the road, we definitely need a road. It's in shambles. It's really bad. And I just don't want the people to lose footage on the front of their houses. You know, I think it's going to be a big issue. Everyone likes it the way it is. That's pretty much it. If someone could let us know what's going on. They're marking up the roads, and they went around putting holes to see where the markers were on people's properties. So no one really knows what's going on. That's pretty much it.
Okay, Mr. Maniscalco, do you think you can look into what's going on in that area?
I actually do have an answer for you already. The Public Works Department is doing some test boring in preparation for design and plans for doing additional road work in that area. So once plans are put together and everything else, that would then be shared with the public, and everybody would be let know what's going on, and especially in the neighborhood. But at this point right now, they're just doing test boring.
So they're looking to do the roads over?
They're looking into it.
Okay.
Sure.
I mean, it's awesome because every year I'm picking up about 1.5 buckets of compound just in stone, because they keep filling up the holes in front of my house, and it erodes, comes to the side of the house. Every year I sweep it up, but it's just, I've been dealing with it. And I was happy to see that they are gonna fix the roads, but my biggest concern is for me and my neighbors is we didn't want them to, stretch it out too much where, to put a sidewalk, because then the guys that were there over the weekend, they were making marks, and the guy's like, oh, we're gonna have to push the poles back towards our property. And in doing so, I'm looking, and the guy's like, yeah, we're gonna have to cut your arborvitaes. And those things have been there for 45, if you go down 81 Chapel, you'll see I got 2 walls of arborvitaes, and they're like 35 feet up in the air. And I just think it would disfigure them if they go chopping into them. And then they'd have to do all that work of moving the poles and everything else. I'm just looking out for the integrity of the neighborhood and my neighbors. I'm here on behalf, speaking for all of them. And I tried to get more people to come, but it was such at the last minute when I was seeing all this happening. That's it.
Okay.
But as long as we just would like to know what's happening, that's all. And like you said, if they're there to eventually to fix the roads, that'd be great. But we just didn't want to see our properties get eaten up, by them trying to enlarge it too much.
Madam Mayor, can I just ask a question to the town manager?
Oh, sure, go ahead, Councilor Pedrosa.
Sir, you said that they were working over the weekend?
Yeah, there was some guys Saturday, and they were digging up our markers, because I asked the guy, I said, what are you doing? He was there from he was there from the company 811. I apparently call before you dig,
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay, that's not the town, okay.
That's Eversource, right?
No, that's call before you dig. So they're doing test boring of the road. So what they have to do is they have to call before you dig to mark all the utilities first before they go bore into the road and in the area to determine what's underneath. So you saw a call before you dig marking everything out. So that gets done first. Now they're going to start working on doing the borings to determine what's actually, how the road condition is underneath the roadbed. And then they'll determine from that what type of design and work actually has to get done. Those plans will get shared with the public through public hearings and other things that will go on. And then they'll price it out, and as soon as we have funding available, it'll get bid, and then the job will get done.
And Mr. Maniscalco, could you get this gentleman's name and number and information so you can contact him, or he can contact you, you share the information, just so if anything moves forward with our town piece of things, that he's well informed of what's going on?
Sure.
And as far as where you live, sir, I know those arborvitaes, you're down by the S-curve? No. No? Where are you located? On Chapel?
West end of Route 5.
Oh, got you, thank you, okay.
Just before the main street.
Yep, okay.
Actually, Kevin Foley's property, my whole backyard is his backyard, basically.
Okay. All right, I know where it is, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyone else like to speak?
Sign in. Good evening, my name is Doug Gugino. I live on 55 Chapel, and I'm here to ask the same kind of questions that Rob did. So you've got...
You can speak closer to the microphone.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
Doug Gugino. So you've got Chapel, Pleasant Valley, Newberry, Governor's Highway, and Strong, right? Those are all the roads that are coming from Route 5 down to Main Street. So the Chapel part is in bad shape. They're patching it almost every day, it seems. The concerns we have is how far along is this project? So we did notice some call before you dig, but what they were doing is they were finding the pins, which is the extent of the town property. And so that's the questions we have. Where are you? Is it going to be a project similar to Pleasant Valley? To what extent are you considering this to be really part of the bikeway anymore? It's interesting that the group was here earlier that are building this crosstown trail, and they even hold these bike rides. They don't go down Chapel. They go down Strong. This crosstown trail is nowhere near Chapel, yet it has the bike path sign. You do have bikers, but they're professional bikers, because that's a big hill that comes off of Route 5. On the other side of Route 5 is the railroad with the new siding that you get stuck behind today, because they're trying to bring things into Home Depot. So I don't know if that's properly a bike trail anymore. Yes, people will know you can go down there. You can go down Pleasant Valley. If you know Newberry, you'd like to take it. It's beautiful, the most beautiful little street there. And the other roads, Strong, but the road that's the most, that's the widest is Governor's Highway. It's got 2 lanes and it's got shoulders. So we just don't know what's going on. When are we going to have a chance to participate? What is, are we really just going to throw a sidewalk all the way down Chapel? Like, and So there's just too many questions, right? So you've got Pleasant Valley, that's where the parade's gonna be. Maybe you extend Pleasant Valley as a sidewalk down to Main Street. We just don't know. So that's, when do we get a chance to do that? To participate in those designs? Thank you. I can give you my name too if you want it.
Thank you, Mr. Guccino. Anyone else would like to come forward at this time for any matter that isn't even not on the agenda? Anyone else would like to come forward? All right, I have one email to read into the record for an item that's not on the agenda. It's from a Shilpa Gohil. She represents BAPS Charities. It's a global charity that emphasizes health awareness, educational services, humanitarian relief, environmental protection, and preservation and community empowerment. We have over 100 branches in North America, including one in Newington, Connecticut. Volunteers drive our efforts, dedicating a portion of their lives to selfless service of others, both in their local neighborhoods as well as globally. At our local Newington location, we have hosted annual Thanksgiving drives and a walk, Joy of Others walk run on June 2nd, 2024, from 2 p.m. onwards at the Elm Ridge Park in Rocky Hill. BAPS Charities of Newington will host its annual In the Joy of Others walk run to support Newington Police Department, Newington Fire Department, and Rocky Hill Fire Department. We have over 350 members to participate in last year's walk, and we hope to increase our community engagement and participation this year. We would like to humbly extend an invitation to the Town Council members and residents of South Windsor to join us on June 2nd at 2 p.m. at Elm Ridge Park, Rocky Hill, to show support to our beneficiaries. We hope to see you there. Thank you, Shilpa Gohil. And that's all I have. Anything further? No one? Okay. Moving on, item 16, communications from the council. Councilor Pendleton.
Thank you. Mr. Maniscalco, after listening to the folks that live on Chapel Road there, I don't even know what's going on. Not that I live there, but I think it would be nice if they had some type of a meeting, if you had a meeting with whatever department is affecting their street, their neighborhood, their roads. Is it that they're building sidewalks, or are they repaving the road? These folks don't have a clue. We don't have a clue. I'm sitting here wondering what this is all about.
So to be clear about what's going on, the town staff itself doesn't have a clue yet. We're doing test borings to determine the design and what is needed for that area and the road. So
is there any future plans right now?
Well, there's going to be something, but we don't know what yet. So you have to give the staff the opportunity to look at what they need to do.
Right.
And then once they get that all designed, there will be a public hearing and an opportunity for the public to take a look and make their comments and have a thought about whether it works or doesn't work and what that would look like. But right now, they're only doing test borings to determine what is needed in terms of that road for future construction and all that other stuff, so.
Will they have an opportunity to be able to, at a public hearing, you can't ask questions and get your questions answered. So that's why I'm asking, could they meet with them as a group, the neighbors that live from Route 5 to Main Street, you know, if it's gonna affect that portion of Chapel, you know, get them together and maybe they can have a meeting with you in the town departments?
Public Works held a public hearing for residents on Governor's Highway not that long ago, and those residents got the opportunity to sit down and meet with one of our town engineers and talk about the design that was being proposed, and they actually decided, I believe, to back off of the design they were proposing because the residents didn't like it, so.
Okay, so they will have an opportunity.
It'll be a slightly different forum than like our public hearings here, but they'll have an opportunity to come in and have their say.
Okay, because I just felt like they didn't have, like, they're getting all nervous and they don't have any answers and they don't know what's going on and they don't want to see something happen without them being informed. So if we could just keep that neighborhood informed. Do you have a timeline on this?
I don't yet, no.
Not yet?
I mean,
Okay.
this is like the very
brand new.
early, very beginning, yes.
Brand new, okay.
Correct.
So just, I understand where you're coming from. Thank you. As long as they understand and they don't feel overwhelmed that something is immediately going to happen, you know, they
Yeah.
just like to be informed. That's what I'm hearing.
If we could immediately get things done with roads, that would be great, but it doesn't work that way.
I
At
know
$1 million
how
a
government
mile,
works.
it takes a little while.
Thank you.
Yep.
Probably going to be like when they did Kelly Road, when they met with the residents on that whole road.
Right.
When they had
Thank you.
everything planned out. Counselor Carey?
So I guess the one thing that I heard from the townspeople was that, you know, it was when they were being told they might have to cut back like their arborvitaes or they're cutting into their land. So I think there's a difference between, you know, all the road work we're doing. You know, generally I don't see people property being taken up or even the town's property, that buffer zone being taken up. So maybe what we can do is when, you know, we're going to do something where we think it might impact people's property or that 8 feet that is really the town's between the road, and that we, you know, communicate somehow. I mean, because most of the road work, it doesn't impact, so. And I think it was that.
Sure, I think it's unfortunate this gentleman talked to a contractor from 811. And, you know, that's not a representative of the town, and they probably should have, I'm hoping that they didn't represent themselves to be from the town. And for whatever reason, that gentleman or lady mentioned to this resident that a part of their property would be taken. I think it's really unfortunate that somebody would take that large of a step when we're at the point of not even design yet. So, you know, I mean, there's a long ways to go before we get even close to that kind of a conversation.
I think there were town trucks, though, on Chapel this week, because I passed them, because I go down that way to get to the horse. So, you know, but you know, maybe we can just make sure that if we're thinking about doing those things, that we communicate
Sure.
to the residents.
I know they've been out patching too this week, so.
Yeah, that could be what you saw the town trucks doing, patching. Counselor King?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mine's just congratulations to all our South Windsor graduates that are coming up. I've been in a couple of your games, seen all the parties. I'm glad you guys stay safe. Congratulations to you guys. You're about to go on to your next level, and I wish you all the best. Congratulations also to the South Windsor High School new staff that we've gotten. So we got a new principal, we got a couple of new assistant principals, so congratulations to all of you, and keep doing the great work that our former principal is known for. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Siracusa?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I had the pleasure of attending the Armed Forces Day event. It was absolutely incredible. My wife was away for the weekend, so it was a nice thing to do with my daughters, and my cousin was also in town from New York City, and I felt a great amount of pride taking him there and just showing him something that was going on in our town. Anyone who hasn't been to this, the firework display was incredible, and you want to be sitting as close to the kind of bathroom facilities at the soccer fields as you can, because they light them off right at Porter Hill. I've never been that close to fireworks in my life, and you could feel them. My daughters were laughing the whole time. They were in absolute awe. So whoever was involved in putting that event together, to the South Windsor Police Department for everything they did, and everybody else involved, I know my family really thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was an amazing night out in town. So thank you to everybody involved.
Welcome. Counselor Fitzgerald?
I created that.
Thank you. Not to belabor the point on the Chapel Road thing, but if there was any way to, if there was like a generic timeline for how these types of projects go, it might be helpful. Because I know, like you're saying, it's, you know, we're a long way off. You know, we're just doing the test borings, but is a long way off 6 months? Is it a year? Is it 5 years? Like, just to give the residents a sense
Big
of.
picture, it's probably, I mean, we don't even have any funding for it at this point, so it could be years, 5 to 10. You know, I mean, it's a long way.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That kind of information might
Sure.
be helpful for them to
Sure.
put their minds at ease. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing nothing further. Item 17, we've already done. Item 18, have adjournment. All those in favor? No discussion. Adjourned.